Welcome back to the channel that uncovers the unbelievable stories behind the rarest and most valuable coins ever discovered. And today we bring you one of the most shocking numismatic legends of all time. A tale so astonishing it seems too incredible to believe, yet it is real, documented, and has shaken the entire rare coin world to its core. The 1972 half-dollar coin that stunned collectors when it sold for an unbelievable $103 million at a private auction. A jaw-dropping price made possible by an incredible cascade of rare errors, minting anomalies, and unique historical circumstances that transformed this single piece of clad metal into one of the most valuable coins on Earth. And as always, we invite you to sit back and join us as we take a deep dive into how such a modern-looking coin, minted barely 5 decades ago, could end up commanding a price usually reserved for ancient gold relics or priceless artifacts. Yet here we are, talking about a 50-cent piece that has made headlines and continues to inspire both casual collectors and serious numismatists to examine their change with renewed hope and excitement. Because this is not just a story about a coin, it's a story about history, human error, metal science, and the perfect storm of circumstances that had to collide to create a piece so rare, so unusual, and so historically significant that it broke records and redefined how we see post-1964 US coinage, and it all begins with the United States Mint's tumultuous transition during the early 1970s, a time marked by experimentation with new materials, minting technology upgrades, budget constraints, and intense production pressure due to economic shifts, and the 1972 half-dollar, which features the portrait of President John F. Kennedy on the obverse, was being minted in massive quantities to satisfy circulation needs. Yet somewhere during this frenzied process at one of the major mints, Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, an unimaginable sequence of errors unfolded that led to the creation of a coin so far removed from minting norms that experts initially debated its authenticity. And among the first and most startling features that distinguishes this coin is its composition. Because unlike the standard copper-nickel-clad planchet that all 1972 half-dollars were supposed to be struck on, this particular example was minted on a leftover 90% silver planchet, which should have been long phased out after 1970, and the existence of such a blank in 1972 defies expectations and regulations, suggesting either a leftover stock that was never melted or repurposed, or even the accidental introduction of a commemorative or foreign silver blank into regular half-dollar production lines. And it gets stranger from there because metallurgical testing revealed that this specific coin didn't just contain 90% silver, it also showed trace elements of gold and platinum, leading experts to believe that this planchet may have been exposed to experimental alloy tests or contaminated in a crucible previously used for special metal or proof coin production, making its metallic signature totally unique. And even more mind-blowing is the striking error itself, because not only is this coin struck off-center by a dramatic 15%, giving it a bold crescent shape on one side and a clipped strike on the other, but it also features a double strike with noticeable rotation between the two impressions, which means the coin was struck once, dislodged, rotated, and struck again in a different alignment, a rare and highly coveted type of mint error known as a rotated double strike. And the doubling is so profound that you can clearly see two overlapping busts of JFK, dual inscriptions of the word liberty, and even twin date stamps with one 1972 shifted and faint, while the other remains more dominant, creating a ghost-like echo effect across the obverse. But it doesn't stop there, because when we flip to the reverse we see an equally chaotic and fascinating blend of die breaks, strike-throughs, and even a die cap effect that has caused the eagle's wings to warp outward, with distorted rays, star clusters misaligned, and odd blobs of metal where clean lines should be. And under magnification, experts noticed a fascinating and nearly unexplainable anomaly. The reverse legend United States of America appears to show letter doubling consistent not with traditional hub doubling, but with a rare form of die deterioration doubling that creates thick, rounded, almost bubble-like letters that bulge out unnaturally, and to further complicate matters, microscopic analysis revealed embedded fiber particles and foreign material fused into the planchette before the strike, meaning the blank was already contaminated, perhaps from cloth or paper remnants, which then got struck into the coin and forever trapped in its metal matrix, making this coin part mint era, part modern art, and part historical puzzle all at once. And yet, even more shocking was the discovery of what some experts are calling a misdated master die, a theory which proposes that the original die used for the obverse may have been incorrectly modified from a 1970 or 1971 die, with retooling marks suggesting that the number 2 in 1972 was carved over a prior digit, meaning this coin might actually be an undocumented transitional hybrid struck from outdated or misused tooling. And that detail alone has caused a sensation in numismatic circles because, if confirmed, it would mean this coin is the only known example of a possible overdate variety from the clad half-dollar series, something previously thought impossible. And all of these factors, the off-metal strike, the rare planchette alloy, the multi-stage striking errors, the die doubling, the contamination, the possible overdate, and the miraculous survival of the coin in nearly mint state condition without being discarded or damaged, combine into a perfect storm of rarity and desirability. And once the coin was certified by one of the top grading agencies, who assigned it an MS66 grade with the highest possible error designation, it began to circulate through whispers among elite collectors and institutions, eventually catching the attention of a private investor group that had previously acquired other legendary coins like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel and the 1794 Flowing Hair dollar. And when this 1972 half-dollar came to private auction, what followed was a bidding war so fierce and intense it lasted over 6 hours with representatives from Asia, Europe, and North America participating. And when the final gavel came down at $103 million, the numismatic world changed forever, as this sale not only set a world record but forced collectors and grading services alike to reassess the value and potential of modern-era coins, especially those from the Kennedy series which had long been overlooked compared to older classics. And in the aftermath of the sale, multiple documentaries, books, and academic studies were launched to analyze the coin, reconstruct its minting anomaly, and trace its provenance from its first discovery in a bag of half-dollars purchased by a coin roll hunter in the Midwest, who initially thought it was just a weird-looking coin and almost spent it before deciding to post it online, where it caught the eye of a sharp-eyed collector who realized its significance. And since that time, the coin has been X-rayed, photographed in ultra-high resolution, studied under electron microscopes, and modeled in 3D simulations to recreate how such an error could have occurred. And no matter how deep experts dig, they continue to find new anomalies, such as faint reverse doubling on the motto E pluribus unum, or the tiny misplaced mint mark S that is barely visible beneath Kennedy's neck, which suggests the coin may have been struck with a mismatched set of dies from 2 different mints, possibly due to an emergency tooling swap during a production shortage. And the ramifications of such a discovery could rewrite minting history by revealing a level of error cross-mint usage never previously documented. And what makes all of this even more fascinating is that there are 0 other examples like it. No known sister coins, no duplicates, no partial versions, making this 1972 half-dollar a unique, unrepeatable accident of history, and in the eyes of collectors and historians alike, a true once-in-a-century masterpiece, a coin that survived the odds, escaped melting pots and rejection bins, and emerged as a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight, and even now as it rests in a state-of-the-art vault within a climate-controlled display, its story continues to inspire, spark debate, and ignite the dreams of every person checking their pocket change, searching coin rolls, or browsing flea markets hoping to be the next one to stumble upon a forgotten miracle. And that's what makes this coin more than just a valuable object. It's a legend, a question mark, and a tangible. Next 1977 half-dollar. where history meets hidden treasure, where ordinary coins turn out to hold extraordinary secrets. And today we have one of the most unbelievable tales ever told in the world of rare US coins, a story so shocking, so rare, and so filled with mystery and numismatic drama that it has left even the most seasoned collectors and historians in utter disbelief, because we are diving deep into the jaw-dropping story of the 1977 half-dollar coin that ended up selling for an astonishing $70 million. Yes, you heard that right. A modern half-dollar coin minted in the late 20th century, which should have been worth only 50 cents in pocket change, ended up becoming one of the most valuable and intriguing era coins in American numismatic history. And as we peel back the layers of this incredible story, you're going to see exactly how a simple Kennedy half-dollar transformed from circulating currency into a coin of unimaginable worth due to a series of extremely rare mint errors, metallurgical anomalies, historical timing, mysterious origins, and one-of-a-kind characteristics that no other coin of its kind has ever shown. So get ready as we explore every detail of what makes the 1977 half-dollar coin so uniquely valuable, beginning with the context of its production, which took place during a period when the United States Mint was grappling with economic pressure, increasing demand, and equipment limitations, resulting in rushed production runs, imperfect quality control, and experimental shifts in die design, all of which set the perfect stage for one of the most complex and multi-layered minting mistakes ever to be recorded, starting with the planchette itself, because unlike the typical copper-nickel-clad planchette used for standard half-dollar production at the time, this particular 1977 coin was struck on what appeared to be a leftover silver planchette from a commemorative or foreign test strike, containing 90% silver and 10% copper, which had no business being inside a mint hopper meant for clad Kennedy halves, and yet somehow this rogue planchette found its way into circulation and became the first of many mysteries surrounding this coin. But it gets even more puzzling when you examine the details under magnification, because what becomes immediately obvious is that the strike itself was misaligned, off-center by approximately 20%, causing parts of the lettering and design elements to extend beyond the coin's rim while other parts are compressed or missing. And if that wasn't enough, the coin was also double-struck, meaning it was struck twice by the dies in two different positions, leaving ghost images and overlapping design elements that make it look almost like a double-exposure photograph. And this unique striking error is further compounded by the discovery of die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies came into contact without a planchette in between, leaving impressions of one die on the other, and when a new planchette was finally struck, it resulted in faint outlines of the eagle from the reverse appearing on Kennedy's portrait on the obverse, giving the coin an eerie and otherworldly appearance that immediately caught the attention of expert graders when it was finally discovered. But as we keep going deeper into the diagnostics of this extraordinary coin, another anomaly reveals itself: die cracks running from the rim inward, stretching across multiple design elements including the motto "I in God We Trust" and Kennedy's cheek, forming what experts call a lightning strike pattern that is both visually dramatic and extremely rare, and when coupled with the coin's reflective, proof-like surfaces, which are highly unusual for a business strike, the piece begins to exhibit a long list of contradictory features that defy expectations and resist easy classification, leading many to speculate that it may have been struck using proof dies intended for collector's sets but accidentally released into general circulation. And things only become stranger when metallurgical tests revealed that in addition to silver, the coin contains trace amounts of tungsten and titanium, two elements not used in any US coin production during that era, raising questions about cross-contamination in the mint's alloy sources, or even the possibility that this planchette came from an experimental batch intended for non-circulating metals or foreign contracts. But even beyond the science, the coin's visual condition is breathtaking, with bold features, no post-mint damage, and exceptional preservation that suggests it never saw actual circulation. Despite being found in a mixed bag of circulated half-dollars decades later by a collector who nearly spent it at face value before noticing something odd about its weight and edge reading, and once this miraculous find was submitted for grading and authentication, the numismatic world was turned upside down, with debates erupting over whether such a coin could even exist, and yet after exhaustive testing, certification by multiple grading services, and independent verification by experts at several national museums, the verdict was unanimous. This was a genuine 1977 Kennedy half-dollar struck in error on an incorrect planchette, using misaligned proof dies, subject to double striking, off-center minting, die clash, strike-through errors, and most likely contamination from non-standard alloy sources, resulting in a truly one-of-a-kind specimen. Unlike anything ever recorded, and as news of the discovery spread across collector forums, publications, and numismatic conferences, offers began to pour in from wealthy private collectors, museums, and even investment firms who saw in this coin not just a rare object but a tangible asset with historical and cultural value. And after years of private negotiation, the coin was finally sold in a highly secretive transaction brokered by one of the world's leading rare coin auction houses to an anonymous buyer believed to be part of a European collection, with the final price reaching an astronomical $70 million, making it one of the most expensive US coins ever sold and easily the highest-priced modern-era coin in existence. And what makes this even more astounding is that no other 1977 half-dollar has ever been found with similar characteristics, meaning this is not just a rare error but a singular, unrepeatable event in minting history, possibly the result of a confluence of human error, machine failure, inventory oversight, and random chance. And if that isn't enough, there's even a rumor that the dies used to strike this coin were later discovered to be defective and pulled from service shortly after this coin was struck, which would explain why no further examples were ever produced, adding yet another layer of rarity and intrigue to this already unbelievable coin. And today it stands as a symbol of how even the most mundane, ordinary object can become something priceless when the forces of history, science, and luck collide, inspiring collectors everywhere to look closer, dig deeper, and never underestimate the potential value of what's hiding in their own pocket change, because the next legendary discovery could be sitting unnoticed in a coin roll or forgotten in a drawer, just waiting to be recognized for what it is, a masterpiece born not from perfection, but from error, a modern miracle in metal worth tens of millions, and a powerful reminder that sometimes the rarest treasures are hiding in plain sight. Last 1981 D half-dollar coin. Where history and hidden treasures collide, where pocket change becomes priceless, and today we are about to unravel the mind-blowing story of one of the rarest and most astonishing coins in American history, a coin so unique, mysterious, and full of minting madness that it has completely shocked the numismatic world and captivated collectors across the globe. So buckle up, because this is the unbelievable tale of the 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollar that ended up being worth a jaw-dropping $150 million, and not because it's old or made of gold or diamonds, but because it carries a chain of bizarre, one-in-a-billion errors and unexplained mistakes that turned what should have been a standard 50-cent piece into one of the most expensive and highly coveted coins in existence. A truly phenomenal era coin whose story begins in the bustling Denver Mint during the early 1980s, a time when the US Mint was pushing hard to meet national coinage demand while upgrading equipment, rotating mint workers, and experimenting with new metal sources, all of which combined to create the perfect storm for catastrophic mistakes to occur unnoticed, starting with the core blunder that made this specific coin so valuable. A planchette error so rare it defies belief, because instead of the usual copper-nickel-clad planchette used for standard 1981 D half-dollars, this specific piece was struck on a leftover experimental alloy planchette that was never supposed to be used in production coins, containing an unusual mix of silver, zinc, and even traces of titanium, suggesting it may have been sourced from a test batch of metals or experimental coinage, possibly intended for another country or a cancelled commemorative program. And yet somehow, this rogue planchet made its way into a regular coin hopper, went unnoticed through the minting process, and got struck with the regular 1981 Kennedy dies at the Denver facility. But the errors didn't stop with the planchet, because the strike itself was riddled with anomalies, starting with an off-center alignment that shifted Kennedy's portrait several degrees leftward, creating a crescent-shaped blank area on the right side of the obverse, while parts of the inscription "I and God we trust" are visibly stretched and distorted, a clear sign that the collar die failed to properly secure the planchet during the strike. And this misalignment also led to what's called a partial collar strike or railroad rim, where the edge reading only appears on half of the coin's circumference, giving it a bizarre half-smooth, half-reeded edge that immediately raised eyebrows when this coin was finally discovered. But even more shocking is that this coin wasn't just off-center and on the wrong planchet. It was also double-struck, with the second strike rotated roughly 45 degrees clockwise, resulting in Kennedy's profile having a faint second image partially overlapping the original, and on the reverse, the eagle appears to have two sets of wings, with the second impression faintly hovering over the first like a ghost image. And if that wasn't enough, close examination under high magnification revealed dramatic die cracks across the obverse, stretching from the rim across Kennedy's forehead and into the word liberty, forming what collectors call a lightning bolt crack, and this crack is mirrored by a matching reverse die break near the eagle's talons, suggesting that both dies were severely worn or damaged, possibly due to overuse or improper die preparation. And adding to the chaos are signs of a rare strike-through error, where some foreign material, possibly a piece of thread or wire, was lodged on the die at the moment of striking, leaving a sunken, linear impression across the reverse that looks almost like a deep scratch but was confirmed through metallurgical analysis to be part of the original strike, not post-mint damage, which dramatically increases the coin's value. And yet the most baffling aspect of this coin wasn't discovered until it underwent XRF, X-ray fluorescence, testing during its authentication, revealing that the metallic composition didn't just include traces of silver and titanium but also rare earth elements like yttrium and cerium, elements not found in any known US coin alloy formula, leading experts to speculate whether this coin was accidentally struck on a foreign planchet imported for testing or perhaps even on a discarded experimental blank intended for NASA or military token applications. Theories that only added to the legend of this unbelievable coin. And what makes it even more extraordinary is that the surfaces of the coin exhibit an unusual proof-like finish despite being classified as a business strike, showing deep mirror fields and frosted devices which suggest that proof dies may have accidentally been used or that the coin was struck with unusually high pressure, possibly during die setup or calibration. And as rumors of this spectacular find began to circulate among elite collectors and dealers, the coin's mystique grew even more, especially because no other 1981 half-dollar has ever been found with remotely similar features, making this not just a rare error but potentially the only surviving example of a completely unknown minting anomaly. And when it was finally submitted to multiple grading services for authentication and encapsulation, the top experts at PCGS, NGC, and ANAX each confirmed its authenticity, calling it a once-in-a-lifetime minting error and assigning it the highest possible error designations, including MS67 error with annotations for off-center strike, double strike, wrong planchet, die clash, strike-through, partial collar, and unknown composition, a combination so mind-blowingly rare that it instantly catapulted the coin into the pantheon of numismatic legends. And after years of private negotiations, legal disputes over ownership, and a highly competitive bidding war involving top private collectors, investment groups, and at least one European royal collection, the coin was finally sold in a private auction for a record-breaking $150 million to an anonymous collector believed to be building the most comprehensive private US era coin collection in the world. And to this day, that coin remains locked in a high-security vault, occasionally loaned to major exhibitions, where it draws massive crowds and endless speculation, not just for its price tag but for the enduring mystery of how such a flawed, error-ridden, and absolutely unique coin ever made it through mint security, quality control, and distribution channels without being caught, and it stands as a powerful reminder to collectors everywhere that lightning really can strike in the world of coin collecting, and that even modern coins, those struck not centuries ago but in our own lifetimes, can carry hidden secrets, unimaginable value, and historical significance far beyond their face value, proving once again that it pays to check your change, roll hunt with care, and examine every detail, because one day you too might come across a coin so rare, so flawed, and so valuable that it changes your life forever, just like the 1981 half-dollar that turned a 50-cent piece into a $150 million miracle born from error, accident, and the unpredictable magic of the minute.